radio, good morning, helicopter Golf Lima, Oscar November Echo.
November Echo, good morning, press message.
We just landed in North Yorkshire, we're just south of York, and we're with Fiona here. What kind of disease levels are we seeing in the crop?
The disease levels in this crop are kind of typical, I think, of a lot of the north of the country. So we're in Santiago, so a weak variety, and Septoria's there, but it's low down the crop at not dramatic levels. Present, but not on fire.
So not too much of a worry for growers at the moment? So
no, this is kind of what you would expect. It's a thinner crop. We've got leaf 3 just poking through, so we're probably a week away from T1 sprays anyway.
And if we are seeing Septoria right down at the bottom, what would your thoughts be on a T1? Can we get away with an azole CTL, or do you think we need an SDHI?
For this level of disease, then, the CTL azole starter, I think, is perfectly sensible, and you keep the SDHI addition for the thicker crops with more of a conducive microclimate, and some of the weaker varieties certainly have more disease. That's where you should prioritise adding in the SDHI.
So here in North Yorkshire, the wheat crops, T1 might be around a week, 10 days. So what are we thinking about, Jonathan?
Well, I mean, the crop we're looking at here is actually an October sowing, and it's a little bit late compared to some of the crop. And there's some Septoria in here, certainly, across most of the varieties, but it's not at very high levels. I think it would be quite different if we were looking at a September sowing compared to this. It's the sort of place where you'd think, well, perhaps on the most susceptible varieties you need to be thinking about an SDHI based T1, but on the majority of the varieties here I think an azole chlorothalonil mix would be adequate. Were it a September sowing, I think you'd have to look at a different strategy. I think you probably would have to go more heavy-handed.
So if growers are growing those better varieties, the Grahams, the Siskins, the Sundance, they could get away with that azole CTL for the T1.
Yeah, especially on the later sowings. Yeah, I think that would be fine.